Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Pearson, your elementary ELL teacher. Today we're going to go over the vocabulary words and pictures for second grade journeys, lesson 17. And our anchor text and story is Luke Goes to Bat by Rachel Isadora. So for this lesson, you're going to turn and talk. That means I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to think about your answer. Then you're going to pair up with a partner at home, or you can be my virtual partner. And then you're going to share out your answer in a complete sentence or sentences. So for this lesson, you will need a pencil and a piece of paper or journal page. And you're going to divide the paper into three equal parts or thirds, 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to write your numbers 1 to 8. So if you don't already have your paper and pencil, push pause, get your paper, and write your numbers 1 to 8. And when you're ready to join me, push play. Because you are going to write each of the 8 vocabulary words, and then in the second column, you're going to write the synonym. And a synonym is a word that means the same. For example, combine is a synonym for mix. They mean the same thing. They are synonyms. If you don't catch the synonym, you can always write the word a second time. And then in the third column, you're going to draw a quick picture or sketch to help you remember each word. So here's our learning targets. I can use pictures and context clues to help me understand important words from the story Luke Goes to Bat. Our second learning target is I can talk about the vocabulary words and pictures. Success criteria. That means how will you know you're successful at using pictures and context clues to help you understand the important words from the story? And how will you know you're successful about talking about the vocabulary words and pictures? Well, here are our steps to success. I will, number one, look closely at each group of pictures. Number two, I will say what I notice about the pictures. How are they the same or similar? Number three, I will read each definition or each word and its definition. And finally, four, I will write each word 1 to 2 times, a synonym, and draw a quick picture or sketch. Let's go over our turn and talk rules. If you have a partner at home, you're eye to eye and knee to knee. That means you are looking at each other. Number two, first one person talks, the other person listens. Number three, then the next person talks, the other person listens. Number four, do not talk too long on your turn, or your partner will not have time to have a turn. For each group of pictures, I'm going to ask you the same questions. What do you notice or see? And you're going to say, I notice or I see. And then I'm going to ask, how are they the same or similar? And you're going to say, they all or they both. And you're also going to say, you can agree with me. And you can say, I agree with you, Mrs. Pearson, because, and tell me why. Or you may disagree with me. And you could say, I disagree with you because, and tell me why. So here's our first group of pictures. What do you notice or see? So say what you notice or see out loud for one or all of the pictures. I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice a girl is kicking a soccer ball. In the second picture, I notice a boy and his father are playing catch with a baseball. In the third picture, I notice a girl is playing the piano. So, how are all these pictures the same or similar? They all show children or people practicing or practice. Practice. So, for number one, I want you to write practice. 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 Practice means do it many times or repeat to get better. Do it many times or repeat to get better. That is what practicing means. To practice means do it many times or repeat to get better. A synonym or a word that means the same could be repeat. So the girl is practicing, she's repeating kicking the ball. The boy and his father are practicing throwing a baseball. They're repeatedly throwing the ball. And the girl is practicing the piano, or she likes to practice the piano. And in order to do that, you have to repeat playing it over and over. If you practice hitting the baseball every day, your hitting will get better. So you could also say, if you repeat hitting the baseball every day, your hitting will get better. So think about it. What do you practice and how do you practice it? You could also say, what do you repeat and how do you repeat it? So repeating it over and over is practicing or to practice. So make sure you've written the word practice, Practice, and the synonym could be repeat. Next group of pictures, what do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice a man is rushing. It looks like maybe he's late for something because he has his suitcase or his briefcase. In the next picture, I notice a girl is running. In the third picture, I notice a turtle is running and finishing a race. So, how are all these pictures the same? They all, they all show hurried. So, for number two, I want you to write the word hurried. 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 Hurried comes from the verb to hurry. It means rushed and got there quickly. So it looks like the man rushed somewhere, the girl rushed and ran, the turtle rushed or hurried. Hurried. So a synonym could be rushed, Rushed. Rushed is the same as hurried. The soccer player hurried to stop the ball. He moved fast or rushed. So you could also say the soccer player rushed to stop the ball. He moved fast. Think about it. Think about a time you hurried to get somewhere. Where were you going? Why were you hurrying? So again, to hurry is the verb, and hurried, whoops, is past tense of hurry. So think about a time you rushed to get somewhere. Where were you going and why were you rushing or why were you hurrying? Excuse me. Next group of pictures. What do you notice or see? Well, in the first picture, I noticed there is a little boy, and a boy in line is taller and a little bit bigger. and then a boy that's even bigger, and then a biggest. And in the next picture, I notice looks like different yoga positions or exercise positions, like doing push ups or holding your arm or leg up in different ways and positions. And in the third picture, I notice a baseball team, and everybody has their places on the baseball team, like the pitcher and the first base person and outfielder, the batter, the umpire. There's all different positions. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all, well, they all show position. Position, Position. Position. Position means arrange in a special way or the place or location where something it is. So you could say the baby is the youngest in the family. So his position in the family is the youngest. Um, Also, you could say the people are putting their legs or arms in different positions, holding them up or putting them down or putting them sideways. It's a place or location where something is. And the baseball players all have different positions where they're supposed to do a specific job. So, position. A synonym could be place or location. Place or location. The batter is in position to hit the baseball. The batter is in the specific location or place to hit the baseball. So, think about it. What position do you think you spend most of your time in? Are you in a standing position? Are you sitting? Are you walking? Are you sleeping? There's different places and locations you spend your day in school, at home, outside. Next group of pictures. What do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice an emoji is yelling through a microphone very loudly, it looks. In the second picture, I notice a man is yelling and he does not look happy. And in the third picture, I notice a lion, I believe, is roaring or yelling. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all show roared. Roared is past tense for the verb roar. Roared. 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 And the root word is roar. And roared means yelled or made a loud, deep noise. Roared. So a synonym could be yelled. The crowd roared loudly as the player caught the ball. Roared. You could also say the crowd yelled loudly as the player caught the ball. So think about it. At what kind of event would a crowd have roared or yelled loudly? Next group of pictures. What do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice there is a lot of money. in coins and bills. In the second picture, I notice someone's overflowing, pouring a pitcher of milk or water, and it's overflowing. And in the next picture, I notice a boy has one, two, three, four, five, six popsicles, and two are in his hand, and four are in his mouth. That's a lot of popsicles. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all? Well, they all show extra, EXTRA. Number five is extra, EXTRA, extra. What does extra mean? Added to or more than what is needed. So there's a lot of extra cash or money. There is extra milk or water coming out of the pitcher, and there is a lot of extra popsicles in that boy's mouth. Extra, EXTRA. What's a synonym for extra? Added or more. Extra, added or more. The extra players for the football team sat on the bench. You could also say the added players for the football team sat on the bench. Think about it. Why would a car carry an extra tire or an added tire or one more tire? Next group of pictures, what do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice a sidewalk during the day. In the next picture, I notice the corner of a sidewalk on a street. And in the third picture, I notice a curb on the side of the street. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all, well, they all show curb, CURB, curb. What is a curb? It's the edge of a sidewalk where the sidewalk meets the road. So, a synonym or a word that means the same could be sidewalk. More specifically, it's the edge of the sidewalk. And so after skating, the girl rested on the curb outside her house. Or you could say, after skating, the girl rested on the sidewalk outside her house. Think about it. Why do you think some roads have a curb, but others do not? So why do you think some roads have a sidewalk, um, but others do not? All right, next group of pictures. What do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice three people sitting on a bench and it looks like they're yelling or cheering. In the next picture, I notice another group of people look very excited, yelling, and they have their hands raised. They're so excited. In the third picture, again, they're all raising their hands and they look very happy or excited. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all, well, they all show cheered. The root word is cheer, CHEER. And if you cheered, that's past tense. That means you already did it. Cheered, it was already done in the past. To cheer means shouted in happiness or excitement. Cheered, shouted in happiness or excitement. cheered. So a synonym or word that means the same could be shouted. Shouted. The root word again for shouted is shout, just like the root word for cheered is cheer. The audience clapped and cheered as the player scored a goal. You could also say the audience clapped and shouted as the player scored a goal. Think about it. Why do you think a crowd at a football game stood up and cheered? Or why do you think a crowd at a football game stood up and shouted, cheered, or shouted? Last group of pictures. What do you notice or see? I notice or I see. Well, in the first picture, I notice a road that suddenly ends. There's like a big wall of dirt. It goes straight into a hill. In the next picture, I notice there's a line and there's an arrow pointing to the last person standing in line. And in the next picture, I notice a snail is coming to the finish line of a race or the end of a race. So, how are these pictures the same or similar? They all show final. Final, 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 the end or last. So final means the end or last, just like it's the end of the road, or the person is last in line, or the snail finally got to the end of the race, or the finish line. A synonym could be last. When the game ended, the final score was 4-2. You could also say when the game ended, the last score was 4-2 or final score. Think about it. What comes after the final school day of the week? What comes after the final school day of the week or the last school day of the week? Well, the last school day of the week is Friday, so after Friday comes Saturday. Let's review. Make sure you have all these words, and this is a good time to push pause um, to make sure you've written all 4 words on this page, and in the second column, written the synonym or word that means the same, which I've highlighted in yellow. And then this is a good time to draw a quick picture or sketch because I have 3 different pictures for each word. Number 1, practice. Do it many times or repeat to get better. Practice. And again, I highlighted the word repeat. That's a synonym for practice. Number 2, hurried, rushed, and got there quickly. Hurried. And again, I highlighted rushed. Number 3, position, arrange in a special way the place or location where something is. And again, I highlighted place or location, which is a synonym for position. Number 4, roared, yelled, and made a loud, deep noise. Roared, just like a lion will roar. And again, a synonym is yelled. So if you haven't already, you can push. This is a good time to make sure you have each of your 4 words. Then make sure you have a synonym in the second column, and the synonyms I highlighted are in yellow. And then in the third column, a quick picture or sketch. So this is a good time to push pause, finish your work for words 1-4, and then when you're finished writing the word, writing the synonym, and drawing the quick picture, you can push play to rejoin the lesson. All right, number 5, extra, added to or more than what is expected. Extra. Oh, I'm not sure why. Okay, so number 5 is extra, added to or more than what is expected or needed. So there's your pictures for extra. Number 6, curb, edge of the sidewalk. Curb. And again, curb is also a sidewalk, which I highlighted in yellow. And number 7 is cheered, shouted in happiness and excitement. Cheered. And a synonym could be shouted. And number 8, final, the end or last. And again, I highlighted the word last. So this is a good time to make sure you have all the words 5 to 8. And then in the second column, you write the synonym, and I highlighted those words in yellow. And then finally, draw a quick picture or sketch. So this is a good time to push pause, do all those things for these words, and then when you're finished, push play. All right, let's go over our learning target. At the top of your paper, I want you to reflect on your learning. Our learning was I can use pictures and context clues to help me understand important words from the story Luke Goes to Bat. Would you give yourself a 4? I could teach this lesson. I easily said what I noticed about each group of pictures and how they were the same. Or would you give yourself a 3? I was able to say what I noticed about most of the pictures and how they were the same. Or would you give yourself a 2? I was able to say what I noticed about some of the pictures and how they were the same. Or 1, I was not able to say what I noticed about any of the pictures or how they were the same. So on the top of your paper, I want you to write your reflection. How do you think you did? 4, 3, 2, or 1? Well, thank you, boys and girls, for going over the vocabulary words for Luke Goes to Bat. Have a great day.